and Sunday, October 15th, 2017. You are listening to Inception Radio Network, voice of the fringe majority. This is Carol Carl with Off the Beaten Path. This weekend, our path begins in fire-ravaged California, where we find this amazing headline: Guy Fieri cooks barbecue for evacuees of California wildfires. Well, in case you don't know this individual, we didn't. He's a Food Network star. His name is Guy Fieri, and he teamed up on Thursday with the Salvation Army. In fire-ravaged Santa Rosa, California, they cooked for thousands of people who had had to evacuate their homes. Fieri and his workers assembled a mobile kitchen at the Santa Rosa Veterans Memorial Building's parking lot. They set up camp. This is according to KTVU. Fieri said he and his team would be cooking lunch and dinner for evacuees until Saturday. He said, quote, "This is the least we can do. We're so happy to be able to do it. We're so sorry for friends who've lost their homes. There's a lot of really good people coming together," end quotes. The meals were also being transported to 2 other evacuation shelters in Santa Rosa. Guy Fieri said his wife woke him up Monday. They live in Santa Rosa. They woke to wildfires and smoke. Said Fieri, quote, "The smoke was really bad." And this is what he told KQED. Quote, "We had to evacuate at 2 a.m. We grabbed what we could, taking pictures off the wall as fast as we could. We loaded in the dogs, jumped in the truck, and away we went," end quotes. He then called the Salvation Army in Santa Rosa, and he said, quote, "I'm ready. I've got an army. I'm ready to help." And they said, "Bring it," end quotes. So, that day saw Fieri whipping up pulled pork, roasted chicken, and mac and cheese. Quote, "Firefighters have been eating out of their big lunch packs. They get these really big package meals. They're awesome. But nothing beats a hot meal," end quote, said the celebrity chef. Captain Mark Sear of the Salvation Army said Fieri's cuisine was helping bring up people's spirits. The wildfires that have devastated Sonoma County have killed at least 31 people. That's the number as of Friday. These blazes, most of them in wine country, broke out almost all at once last Sunday night. By the way, it looks as though the vineyards have somehow escaped the devastation that was predicted for them. They seem to be pretty much intact. That's a major part of the economy up there, so that's a good thing. And if the smoke clears for everybody up there tonight, they might be able to look up and see, well, not the moon. And that's because the moon will be a waning crescent visible across Earth only in the wee morning hours. No matter where you are, if you're up early on the mornings of October 14th through the 16th, you can see that waning crescent moon, and you can see it near Regulus. Regulus is the brightest star in the constellation Leo the Lion. But perhaps you won't see Regulus, and that's because on October 15th, the moon will occult this bright star. In other words, it's going to be hidden from view. The occultation of Regulus Sunday morning, October 15th, will be visible from much of the United States, but not on the Pacific West Coast. But you can see it from Mexico, the Caribbean, or southeast Canada. The star will disappear behind the moon's illuminated side and then reappear on its dark side. And there's a list of the local occultations time, too many to read, but you can find them later at ufoheadlinenews.com. Regulus, the heart of Leo the Lion, it's only a first magnitude star, that is, the only bright star among all the sky's brightest stars, to sit almost exactly on the ecliptic, the sun's yearly path, in front of the constellations of the zodiac. The moon, in its monthly journey around Earth, moves more or less along that ecliptic as well. It can swing anywhere from 5 degrees north to 5 degrees south of the star Regulus. The cycles, they're about 9 years long, but the moon actually occults or passes directly in front of Regulus once a month for a period of about a year and a half. In fact, the last series of occultations, stage 19, that started in 2007 and ended in 2008, staging a total of 19 occultations. The present occultation series began December 18th, specifically, 2016, and won't end till April 24th, 2018. And once again, that will include a total of 19 in the series. But to see any lunar occultation of Regulus, you just have to be on that right spot on Earth. Bruce McClure writes this for earthsky.org, and he tells us that exactly midway through that series of occultations, on August 21st, 2017, the moon actually occulted Regulus on the same date the moon totally eclipsed the sun. Says Bruce McClure, how's that for a great coincidence? Here's the bottom line. On the morning of October 15th, specifically 2017, watch for the moon to shine in the vicinity of Regulus, or to even occult Regulus. The moon is going to appear in front of the constellation Leo for the next few days. What a cool weekend in the sky. We promised to see if we could find some nuggets, something fresh in the Tom DeLonge presentation. Yeah, we're not so sure about that, but we did find a great article written by Cheryl Costa. Here's what she writes for her column, her blog called New York Skies. Headline, Tom DeLonge, Challenging Boundaries of What is Possible. For decades, the UFO community and beyond has wanted to see a good faith and honest effort to research everything to do with unidentified flying objects. We've all wanted to see the topic talked about in a factual way, with that specter of mockery and the societal boundaries removed. We've all wanted the scientific community to get past the shadow of ridicule, receive funding, and get to the theoretical bottom of the unknown physics that UFOs represented, no matter how fantastic. In 1940, if you were an American high-technology student in some of the nation's best engineering schools, and you mentioned to your professor that you were interested in rockets, you were frequently made fun of and dismissed as a crackpot. A Massachusetts Institute of Technology professor of the era said, quote, I don't understand how a serious scientist or engineer can play around with rockets, end quotes. Of course, that wasn't the feeling in Nazi Germany. They saw great promise in rockets for their own objectives. A few years after World War II, Dr. Wernher von Braun and his band of German rocket scientists were working for our government and our military community. Von Braun wanted to put a satellite into orbit around the planet, his date September 1956 or early 1957. Regrettably, nobody in the United States government understood the potential or had the vision to give von Braun the green light to do it. Why? Well, there were certain touchy Cold War policy considerations. But beyond the politics, there was still that nagging notion that putting mechanisms in orbit still seemed to be the stuff of science fiction and fantasy. On October 4th, 1957, the Russians showed they had the vision and political will to launch Earth's first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, into orbit. This event woke everybody up in both the science and arts communities. Suddenly, rocket research and outer space came out of the realm of science fiction and became very real, and the possibilities were evident in a few short years. What we as a society needed at that time were two things: the arts community to dare to imagine the future and share the stories of the possible, and the sciences to do rational inquiry and the research to make it all real. In September of 1962, 5 years after Sputnik was launched, President John F. Kennedy had the vision to challenge the country to go to the moon. 9 years after Sputnik, Desilu Studios and Gene Roddenberry launched a science fiction television series that has helped several generations to imagine the possibilities of exploring the galaxy. That series was Star Trek. On October 11th, 2017, rocker Tom DeLonge presented his much-anticipated, long-promised disclosure announcement. Was it disclosure? This question has caused great ambivalence within the UFO community. Many say yes, many say nope. So let me quote independent investigative journalist Leslie Kane, who put it most clearly, quote, "Folks, I'm concerned that some of you are missing the point. The head of a secret UFO program at the Department of Defense has just come forward to confirm the existence of that program. Based on the work of this official program, he has stated for the world to hear that UFOs are unquestionably real. He left that program less than 2 weeks ago. This is as close to official, quote, disclosure, end quotes, as we have come since the close of Project Blue Book, end quotes. The former Department of Defense official to whom she is referring is Luis Elizondo. So we didn't get everything, but we did get some disclosure, or as some would say, another splash of drip, drip disclosure. It certainly wasn't the drink from the fire hose that many in the UFO community really wanted. The principal focus of Tom DeLonge's presentation was his challenge to take the next step with the launch of To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science. What DeLonge and his team of experts did was form a public benefit corporation with a charter to encourage scientific research efforts related to unidentified flying objects. In addition, this corporate charter has a strong artistic element to the effort, intended to stimulate the cultural imagination to a new level, a level of contemplation of future possibilities. The object is to challenge the boundaries of our thinking by inspiring exploration and imagining and manifesting a bold and prosperous future. Tom DeLonge and his prestigious colleagues are asking people to invest in the project with a stock offering. This is a new and different approach to the issue of disclosure. They are challenging the UFO community to put their money where their mouths are, so to speak. It will be interesting to watch and follow their progress. Cheryl Costa provides a link if you want to watch Tom DeLonge's 4 minutes and 30-second pitch. You can also click to see the entire 39-minute presentation. And here's a note at the bottom of her column. Neither New York Skies nor Syracuse New Times has any connection to the DeLonge project, and this is not an endorsement. Yesterday on UFO Headline News, we covered the article that included the strange video taken of bright flashing objects over the Yellowstone volcano. Well, that is still unknown. Whatever it is has yet to be determined. But here's a soothing article from Time magazine. Headline, No, Yellowstone supervolcano isn't going to wipe out life on Earth anytime soon. This article carries a byline for Melissa Chan. If you're worried a supervolcano lying beneath Yellowstone National Park could erupt and plunge the planet into volcanic winter, you shouldn't be. While a future eruption, a prospect widely reported this week after new research, is possible, geologists say it's incredibly unlikely. The odds that Yellowstone's sleeping supervolcano will erupt within a century and cause massive devastation, well, it's 1 in 10,000, which is about as likely as a very large asteroid hitting Earth. That's according to Jacob Lowenstern, a research geologist for the United States Geological Survey. He said, quote, It's not impossible to rule out, but it's a remote possibility. And Jacob Lowenstern should know he used to run the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, which monitors volcanic activity. Supervolcanoes have the power to spew more than 1,000 cubic kilometers of debris and hot ash into the air as they erupt, which would have catastrophic consequences, including changes to global climate and agricultural devastation. That's according to the USGS. They get labeled supervolcanoes only after they've already erupted to that magnitude. There are between 5 and 10 active supervolcanoes in the world. The most recent supereruption happened about 27,000 years ago in New Zealand. Long before that, there were 2 supereruptions at Yellowstone. The first happened 2.1 million years ago, and the second occurred 631,000 years ago. Again, these are statistics from the United States Geological Survey. Apparently, many Americans grew concerned that a supereruption was looming after the New York Times detailed a project from a research team at Arizona State University. That team researched the events leading up to the last large eruption at Yellowstone, and they found changes in the supervolcano's system known to help trigger supereruptions, like magma flow. They can develop faster than previously thought, according to the Times. Quote, It's shocking how little time is required to take a volcano system from being quiet and sitting there to the edge of an eruption, end quotes. And that's from Hannah Shamloo. She's an Arizona State University graduate student, part of that research team. Many people mistakenly took that to mean Yellowstone's supervolcano was overdue for a massive eruption. Enter Christy Till, part of the research team also, later tweeting the research team at no point suggested Yellowstone supervolcano was expected to erupt. Quote, all signs of activity at Yellowstone are normal, end quotes, she wrote. Quote, there are no signs of eruption.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha. Night. Oh, I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here. I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
As some media outlets are reporting, end quotes. Well, Jacob Lowenstern agreed, dispelling the notion that there's a cycle to super eruptions. He added there is no way to tell when or if it will even erupt, but any kind of eruption in the next 100 years is very unlikely. Since that last super eruption at Yellowstone, there have been dozens of other eruptions at the national park, minor ones. Said Lowenstern, quote, there's no requirement that it has to have another large eruption, end quotes. There. Is that worry wiped away? We hope so. Let's go from worry to mystery and a road trip to Easter Island. Buckle up. We get this from Reuters. It carries a byline for Will Dunham. The massive, brooding stone figures peering from Easter Island's hillsides are emblematic of an enigmatic people who once thrived on this dot of land in the middle of the Pacific. New genetic research only deepens the mystery around these people. On Thursday, scientists said an analysis of DNA from ancient skeletal remains ruled out the likelihood that Easter Island's inhabitants intermixed with South Americans before the arrival of Europeans on that island in 1722. A 2014 genetic study had indicated interbreeding between the people of Easter Island, or officially Rapa Nui, and native people in South America occurred roughly between 1300 and 1500. This new research, studying the DNA of 3 Rapa Nui people from the 1400s and 1500s and 2 from the 1800s, found no such evidence of mingling. The research underscored the isolation of these people who lived on an outpost some 2,300 miles or 3,700 kilometers west of South America, 1,100 miles, 1,770 kilometers from the nearest island. Quote, one study shows that there is no simple scenario of population exchange and migration between Rapa Nui and the Americas, as suggested by many archaeologists, historians, population geneticists, and even adventurers, end quotes. And that's from archaeologist Kat Jarman out of the University of Bristol in Britain. Jarman said the study, published in the journal Current Biology, confirmed a growing body of evidence that Easter Island was settled by Polynesians who crossed the open ocean. Quote, we were surprised that we didn't find any Native American admixture in our ancient Rapa Nui individuals, end quotes, Jarman added. The Rapa Nui people formed a unique culture best known for the 900 monumental head and torso stone statues. They're called moai, that's spelled M-O-A-I, erected all around the island. The culture flourished starting around 1200. This study did not rule out some type of cultural contact between Easter Island and South America. Quote, however, if it did take place, the new evidence suggests that it was infrequent, or at least that it did not leave any discernible genetic trace, end quotes. Again, that's Kat Jarman. University of California, Santa Cruz anthropologist Lars Fehrenschmitz said evidence like the presence of sweet potatoes, a South American staple in Polynesia, indicates some cultural exchange occurred between the Americas and Polynesia before the impact of European colonization. Quote, many researchers suggest Rapa Nui as kind of the best point of contact because it's closest to South America, but an exchange could have also been initiated on other islands if it happened, end quotes, said Fehrenschmitz. Well, it's interesting. Sweet potatoes. Wonder if there's a Rapa Nui sweet potato pie recipe. Let's see if we can segue from sweet potato pie to robots. Giant robots? Oh, we can. From Engadget, here comes the story with a byline for Swapna Krishna. Headline, Epic Giant Robot Battle scheduled for October 17th. Are you ready for the world's first giant robot fight? If your answer to that was no, who even are you? We've been waiting for a date for the Megabots versus Pseudobashi duel, and now it's finally here. The fight will take place on October 17th, 2017 at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. It will be streamlined worldwide on Twitch. If you missed that live stream, you can also catch it on YouTube and Facebook immediately after the event concludes. This giant robot battle has been in the works for almost 2 years. It was originally scheduled to take place last August. The 16-foot-tall, 12-ton Megabots Eagle Prime robot was built by a team of American engineers. And then there's Karatus, a 13-footer that weighs 6.5 tons, built by the Japanese company Tsudobashi Heavy Industries. And now they will do battle for our enjoyment. The question is, who will reign supreme? Oh, we just can't wait. But I guess we'll have to. We'll also have to be patient when it comes to solving the Chicago Phantom mystery. From Lon Strickler's most excellent site, phantomsandmonsters.com, Pulse of the Paranormal, here's this. Headline, Chicago Phantom seen flying through the Magnificent Mile. This is what Lon Strickler received on October 8th, 2017. It's a first-person witness report. Quote, I was writing to share my sighting of the Chicago Mothman. I was walking towards the Chicago Avenue Red Line entrance from work when I made the sighting. It happened to be around 10:15 to 10:20 p.m. Central Time, Saturday, October 7th. I happened to look up to my left when I saw an object drifting in the sky. Upon closer look, I was able to see this object was dark gray in color, and it seemed to have a large wingspan. It started to drift up, but then it dived down. It ducked between buildings, but then it reappeared on the other side. I was standing on Chicago Avenue and Wabash Avenue. After this object reappeared, it then passed between a few more buildings and then flew out toward Lake Michigan, signed J.S. And apparently Lon Strickler was able to contact the witness. There's some follow-up information that goes like this. From my distance, says the witness, it was a little hard to make out details of this object. It kept moving rather quickly. It was very fluid-like in its motion. The wings were about equal length, if not a bit longer than the object itself. These wings also flapped a few times, but the object actually seems to have glided more than it flapped. I could tell the object was quite large, and I easily ruled out any bird. There's an additional note here by Mr. Strickler. The winged being must have had significant size in order for the witness to make it out, especially at night, although I assume the area is well lit. And please note this, the witness's location was only 2 blocks south of the Sofitel Chicago Magnificent Mile Hotel at 20 East Chestnut Street. This is where the gray humanoid was seen on the building roof. Oh yeah, we went there last weekend. So what is it? Here's what Mr. Strickler puts at the end of all these reports. Have you had a sighting of a flying humanoid or huge bat-like creature in the Chicago, Illinois metro area or nearby? He wants to know. He'll take your report. There's even a phone number included. You can find links to all of this, including the amazing charts tracking this creature and all the sightings. They go back a while. You can find those links later at ufoheadlinenews.com. Well, there's definitely something flying around here. It's that thing called time. Yes, a human construct, but nonetheless, it's time for us to say, that's a wrap. Thanks for listening to UFO Headline News on Inception Radio Network, Off the Beaten Path. Take care of each other. We're all in this together. This is Carol Carl. See you tomorrow.
Hey girl, have you done something new with your scales? Using new moisturizer? Nice. It really brings out the hazel in your eyes. Oh, hold on. Are you using whitening strips too? Your fangs look good, girl. Really good.
A really charming snake charmer? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Wait, what? Have you been doing Pilates too?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15%.